So CKSG, it's a Shun Kong. We are bringing a Chinese publication of business to Brazil, and China has everything to do with what we do. But without much further ado, let me mention research from this management review that says that we are going through a moment of collapse of content. Everything is getting mixed, professional, personal, companies and government, shareholders and stakeholders, so on and so forth. And that's how they identify themselves. And that brings additional pressure for growth. There was this other research, we found that, and we learned that any company that can grow, and in order to grow, they need two key skills. The first one, digital skills that we are quite familiar, and others related to purpose. It's more than just a discourse. They give a beautiful name. That's the name I'm going to bring. It's like digital transformation, effective digital transformation. Affection has to do with that purpose. And when we talk about the banking of the future, that it's our main topic, we want to build the bank of the future. We've been talking about digital and we have talked about affection. And I am sided with great people to talk about both. I'm very happy. As she already introduced you, I'm not going to repeat the information, okay? I'm going to start with Glauber. Glauber, I'm going to have a first round of questions, and I would like you to define banking of the future, because it's something very, abstract. So could you please define it? Thank you, Adriana. It's a pleasure to be here. And defining the bank of the future, well, we all know it's no trivial thing, because futurology, it's not what we've learned to do. But you can interpret a lot regarding evolution of the digital market in the last years, and to say what we understand and we try to do in our company to deliver a banking of the future. Banking of the future is that it seems to be cliche, but it's no longer a bank where there is no magic equation for experience, but it's a fluid experience. At any moment that client needs services like out of the working hours, at night, in the most unexpected moment, the weekend, for instance, the bank is there wherever you need, so on your cell phone, on your tablet, on the TV screen, on the phone, or wherever you need. It's safe, cheap, and convenient. So actually, it's a combination of factors that it's like this barrier, physical barrier, no longer exists, and it's really actually whatever you want, whatever you need. And in modern times, with no real borders. So transactioning in Brazil and abroad mean like a crypto, a fiat currency. You can make transaction in any currency. So Bank of the Future is removing frictions, transforming experience with compliance, but it should be seamless to the client, because it will happen naturally without the client realizing about their, for individual person or for companies, for instance, it should happen fluid, cheap, and convenient way. And with no frontiers, well, that's the Revolut cup of tea, right? When I hear Glauber talking about that, I imagine the banking of the future in many places, that it's like a portfolio for banks. Does it make sense? What do you think about the bank of the future? Hello, Adriana. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Glauber and Chismo, and to share the stage. Well, with no question, by answering your question, yes, we do understand that the bank of the future, we have multiple banks for each kind of client and for each moment they're going through. But when you talk about effective digital transformation, it has everything to do with the purpose at Vivo. We want to digitalize to come closer through connection, mobile network, or landlines, and to come closer to our clients, and not only our clients, but institutions and all that, bringing more connection and having powerful names such as Vivo. So that's how we have Vivo Pay. That's the brand of our fintech. We've been bringing financial services for our clients, and we understand that our mission is to be there at the moment that the Vivo client needs. And yes, it has everything to do with what you mentioned. More than 1,700 institutions that are regulated by the central bank. It's natural in a population that has access to bank services. More than 70%, the average Brazilian has like 6 accounts. They choose the best account to travel abroad. Revolut, you choose the best bank to place your investment, the best account to receive your payment, your paycheck. So clients have already realized that, and Vivo Pay is no different. When client is going to buy a device, a smartphone, they can go home with a financed device, and even more than that, I can offer an insurance for them, but also against like damage or accidents. And they will have our account, and they can go home with a benefit in the shape of a cashback. Glauber said very interesting. It's an invisible bank. The client doesn't realize that they don't feel that they have to enter the app to make a transaction. So this transparency with the client will define the bank of the future in many moments at the client's life. I'm sad because you didn't use the same metaphor that we are polygons related to bank. We are all, yes, we are many. We have many personalities when we talk about banks. So this is the structure for the banking system, and how can we see this polygamy? How does it help? Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I think if we look at the platform, we want to make that, we don't want that to have like frontier. And we do believe bringing that banking function for people, it's way more important than just encapsulating bank A or bank B or C, that we end up having like this polygamy that they use bank A for one thing, bank B for something else. This will be natural. People want to have more convenience for them. So if they have a telecom, if we want to use Vivo, we want, if I want a national bank, I'm going to use Revolut. So we do believe this lack of platforms, it's flexible so that we can enable all that, and also to bring the banking functions wherever the client needs and at the moment they need and the way they need. So we show this this option, and the clients choose to work in the most convenient way for them. Okay, and we can see that we've been working with this synastry. Vivo Pay is a piece of the future. So Global Revolut, why is it here in Brazil? Do we have better chance to build the banking of the future? As we have PIX and all that, and we have other regulators?
Eu tinha pensado várias maneiras de responder essa pergunta.
I thought about answering this question in many different ways, but I think inverting the logic, because we spent a long time in different industries saying like, why Brazil? As if Brazil were one alternative that needed to be adapted and needed to be analyzed. But the reality is, the Brazilian plays the main role in the financial system. The structures for payment are the most modern that we have, even more than the US or Europe. Even if you compare with certain uses, Asia and China, that they have many different apps. So Brazil, and why Brazil? Because Brazil is a priority.
Que, como ele comentou, usa em média 6 aplicativos diferentes e gosta de.
And they have different applications and all that. So this polygamy,
Aplicativo, provedor.
If they want to have the financial provider that brings you the best benefit, and we talk about that with Revolut.
Está presente em 40
We
países,
have
tem
this
50
practical series with
e já experimentou muita coisa.
consumers all over the
Depois que
world
a
in
gente
many
começou no
countries.
Brasil, a gente
After we got started out to our operations here in Brazil, we see
o
that the
Pix é
paying
um
methods
exemplo de
are
inclusão,
more
de eficiência operacional. As evoluções
evolved, and we also see that the PIX transactions
por aproximação
by contactless payments and other
como
forms is putting Brazil as the
e agora a
head
gente
of
passa a
this
dar o
revolution,
exemplo.
and now
No
we
fundo,
start to be an
né,
example.
Revolut é a união melhor dos dois mundos.
Revolut is actually combining both things. We are
Se ela vai
combining our global experience,
colocar um top
so
disso,
that we can also put on top of that what Brazil offers as a competitive advantage,
e uma
such
série
as
de outros,
Drax, PIX, and other pay methods. We are very innovative and creative
colocando
and
essas
good at what we
coisas
do.
agora o
And we
Brasil
are now
como
taking
exemplo para o
Brazil
resto
as
do
an
mundo.
example to the
Não se
rest of the
surpreenda
world. Do not be surprised if we are going to have
como
these
nós,
global PICs, but
com
something
infraestruturas
enabled
como
by our companies such as Vivo
e
or
aí
other financial companies, so that Brazil can set the benchmark for the rest of the world.
sem dúvida nenhuma é um país
No doubt, Brazil is a
com muita
country
oportunidade
that
ainda de,
offers many opportunities for
apesar de já ter
banking.
muita gente bancarizada,
Although there are so many banked people here, the access to credit is still limited. The
investimento no
access
exterior
to
ainda é
investments of abroad is also complicated.
estrangeira,
The purchase of foreign currencies and others, we still have to see the total cost of this operation and make sure that this kind has access to more affordable methods. Our risk for our appetite for risk and other things will help us to bring opportunities in an easier way to all Brazilians. As you were seeing here, we are investing in stocks, for example, in the stock market in America,
fica a
for
dica aí para
example. Of course, you can do that. Yes, if you want to try our app, you can feel free to do so. Okay, I'm still looking forward to hearing your answer because we can be AI first as a country, or we can also be Brazil as the first one in this financial market. Well, who knows? Vivo is not a financial a company for financial services. We know. And every company is a technology company, and every company is also offering financial services. So I would like you to say if you agree with that and how much it has affected the whole Vivo group. Well, definitely. As you well mentioned, Vivo is no longer a telecommunication company only. This is also a technology company. We are connecting different households here in Brazil and actually the majority of the Brazilian population. And Vivo has perceived that we have this unique set of assets. We saw today this report that we were one of the 10 most valuable brands in Brazil. We also have over 1,800 shops all over Brazil. And we also have this volume of access and consumers. We also have the capacity to understand our clients, their different profiles. This also offers us different profiles of credit so that we can offer the population that still has no access to banking services, so that they can have access to credit as well. This also gives us room for acting in this financial market. We also have this digital ecosystem now. So we have these vertical lines for healthcare, for example, and then we also have these adventure with or a joint venture actually in energy, in B2B, in cloud computing, IoT, and education, for example. For you to have just an idea, this capacity to use our assets the best way possible makes all of these new services to generate over 10% income of our group with all these lines of business. So we have these 100 million income coming from these sources every year. And we have started this new pay method for 5 years ago, and then we created other services, and we actually were authorized by the central bank last year so that we can import all the services into to our country, and we mix this regulatory environment which promotes competition, innovation, together with our assets and inside the Telefonica group, maybe we do not have the same situation. Of course, there are other groups that do offer services such as insurance and others, but this is our unique asset because we can offer financial services. We have a brand that is very powerful, that has its big popularity. Well, we are the only ones who can do that. Well, what about you, Chisman? It's wonderful to see how our regulators act, but they are doing so many things, right? In 2025, our list is endless, and we are just going halfway through by the end of this month. So you offer this infrastructure. Does it also dealing with the regulation, especially those companies that do not have this financial mode? Maybe they have difficulty in keeping pace with that. Right. We spend much of our energy working and on regulating the platform in a fast manner and in a timely manner as well, so that everybody can be according to the law. So we can ensure by means of our platform that this is no continued concern to our clients. So we work with our teams. They are very connected. They are up to date with all regulations. We are using the AI to help us to analyze the regulations and be compliant with everything that we see. So we have this research center on regulation, those that are issued very frequently, right? And we also are made available by means of our platform, everything at a fast pace. That's why we have this fluent team in regulation. That's why they can do this work very well. And just building on that, Adriana, you also mentioned about the protagonism of our country. PIX, our pay methods are actually our national champion. Our founder was here yesterday saying that PIX is one of our champions. Wherever you go abroad, people talk about PIX. This is actually one of our national brands. If you go to Latin and other countries, you will see these PIX-like pay methods going on. And these providers also are offering this type of services in Europe and others. So we are also keeping pace with the market. There were some events abroad, and with a highlight was the success and the format of PIX because of our regulators, because we are well aware of the powerful tool that we have, the way we develop this, the quality involved, and that brought us a very good advantage for the whole population in Brazil. With these automated picks, this is an inclusive model now. And this will benefit the population in Brazil and help all the partners, the whole group of service providers in a very important manner. For example, this traditional registration or unregistration when it comes to debt transactions, for example. There are so many other services, and they are just so difficult for the population to have access to them. Even those that do not have these banking services, because they maybe do not have these lines of credit or access to credit at all. So the regulation and the process are bringing this sort of inclusion and transformative power for the business, and this is immense. And also it empowers the whole ecosystem. We also see that there are operations in the US now, right? And everybody is working around this in other markets other than the Brazilian market, of course. Before the scenario, and I talked about the context, the need for effective digital transformation. So growing maybe is not that easy. And growing by transforming yourself, well, that's not easy at all. So we can be transforming to the banks of the future all at once. So how can a company, and that question is directed at you, Leandro, how can a gigantic company with 116 million access per month, how can you put this giant and put this giant to be a very mobile figure?
Adriana, eu acho que primeiro está no DNA.
Well, this is part of our DNA. It's part of our DNA to innovate. In Brazil, we have been operating for the last 27 years. For those who know us, we remember that we had these landlines here in Brazil, and we were offering then the wideband services, and now we had the DSL technology. We were one of the first companies that bet on optic fibers. And we also, for example, had the whole household network implemented here in Brazil. And then we had the mobile network, 3G, 4G, 5G networks, among others. And all these other aspects, which are very innovative for Vivo, and they are these share of 10% income in our annual reports. So this is part of our DNA. We needed
dentro
to
de um mercado.
innovate so that we can survive in this competitive market. And Vivo Pay comes to be part of this function. We wanted to continue to innovate. So as Gisma mentioned, we are part of this regulation that promotes innovation and automatic picks, for example. This is so important, especially for traditional players such as Vivo. Looking at this telecom environment, we are also facilitating the access to automatic debit transactions. So this is very easy to use nowadays,
Também
and
do
this
Vivo
is
Pay.
being monitored by Vivo Pay as well, because Vivo Pay is also encompassing this activity. Among our services, we also offer personal loans.
Teve a divulgação de resultado no
We also had the disclosure of our results. We had over 950 million 9 million reals that were granted in loans to our customers. We also had, for example, the Pix in installments so that people can buy things at stores, and also insurance for electronics, for households, for cars. So this represents this income, which equals over 460
Essa é a
million
nossa
in
capacidade
12 months only.
de
So
reinventar.
that's how we can reinvent
A empresa tem
ourselves, and
116
we can also move forward with this company that is has so many clients, 116 million clients. So, for example, Vivo Pay is integrated with our Vivo app, so you do not have to download an extra app. Once you are on a Vivo journey, you want to buy your smartphone or to have any other access to our services, you can use
Esse é só o
the
começo,
same
né?
app. And we have just begun. We are doing so much
Em breve vai ser
things.
lançada.
Our digital culture will be released soon.
Todos os serviços de
Multiple insurance and credit services. We still have a long way to go so that we can achieve the
Tem
desired
pouco a lógica
innovation.
do super app
And
também,
this
né?
is the logic of the super app, right? But DNA alone, well, this is not enough. They have been working so much, right? This just shows the quick wins they have gotten. Like they are just actually reaping the low-hanging
Na
fruits.
verdade, é uma pergunta até que acho que está na cabeça.
And Glauber, I would like to know about the security issue when it comes to the banking of the future, working with all this geography, with the technology, you know? So how do you deal with that?
Pergunta, porque
Thank you so much
a gente fala muito
for your
do
question, because we talk about this end at the customer point with lower prices and everything, and we should not forget that there must be this regulated environment regulations, and even natural people have their own obligations.
e, obviamente, a
And
reputação
naturally, reputation
só
and clients, of course, they will only operate if we have the adequate security to run your
eu tenho o
activities.
privilégio de ter
I have the privilege of having learned to work in an environment such as those of big banks here in Brazil, abroad, and now this is a multinational company where I am. Just for you to have an idea,
todos os nossos colaboradores,
out of all of our partners, there are 100 nationalities in our company. Every team has at least 4 different nationalities represented there.
enorme
So this
de
brings
conteúdo,
this
aprendizados de vários
rich learning about background, culture, and lessons learned. We learn from what happening in weird cases abroad. We can make the most of what we can share among countries when it comes to positive aspects, and we can also share the lessons learned here in Brazil, so that the others can learn from us. And it's easy to say, difficult to do, but because the margins are very tight, very competitive, and these innovations, of course, impact on our business.
mas ele não gera
Pix is wonderful, but it does not generate income for natural people in banks. Banks had to deal with that so that it could transform that and bring these services to clients. For example, we reduced
eficiente,
service-related costs so that we could be more efficient and deliver these at a scalable manner. So governance can be achieved by sensitivity and scalability, because you need to gain more and offer these services at a competitive price, ensuring that there is this margin and sensitivity, because, like you said, we needed to individualize what we have to do and solve people's problems without
a nossa maneira
forgetting about the security
é um
issues.
modelo padrão.
And when we comes to
Alavancar sim as
this
tecnologias,
whole margin, we needed to leverage this replicable aspects. So compliance and regulatory issues must be our expertise in every one of our countries where we are. In Brazil, it is no different. We do not want foreigners operating us here in Brazil. We are regulated by the Brazilian Central Bank. We have our own expertise, local professionals, and we are connected among our own background and biodiversity with other places in the world, of course, but we can have these services provided at an affordable and accessible manner. But this is our competitive advantage here in Brazil. So this is not part of our office, of our front office. So this is also what's helping us to start the right way. And now this might be the way for the other competitors to follow our model.
Esses 40 países.
I remember that this experience in 40 different countries can also help you to understand the hackers that they've got there, right? So that you can defend from everything. I know the hackers find no boundaries, but I know that it can help you to be aware of these things. And Chisman, I will finish now this round with you, and I would like you to tell your audience with this perspective as a regulator, as an infrastructure provider and works with infrastructure for companies such as this. What are the next steps for those who want to build the bank of the future, although this might not be originally a bank, but want to achieve this level?
Well, how can we see that? We are a company that we focus on the platform and brings great flexibility for whoever is creating this bank to work with the channels and to have the journey and the experience with that audience. So we truly believe that this integration, this way to this is the way that it brings success to that initiative. It's the effective, right? Yes. Just to piggyback on that, I'm learning too. That is the effective side, and that we like that. So we have lots of local expertise, local teams. We have characteristics in Brazil, integrates well with international structures, and it provides great freedom for the audience to be very well served. And in each niche. So Vivo's journey is one, it has its purpose, its audience, and Revolut has a different journey, a different way to deal with that public. And we want to have mechanisms and models to allow that to happen without hurdling, without raising barriers or anything, just to leverage technology, innovation, and helping this ecosystem. We don't think it's just one initiative. You need to be integrated with the financial, with services, so you can offer insurance or a different kind that it's not part of your main competence, but you have a partner. And you have telecom, you have entertainment, and you offer the partnerships, but you serve that audience. So this model of having an ecosystem to foment and structure is part of what we think, and we move that forward. And then to embed the other side of innovation, as Glauber mentioned. Innovation in a regulatory environment is nothing trivial, but we cannot rest, we cannot wait until, we should not be careful, we should not be careless to work with that. So, but we are going to explore anything we can and to bring of advantages for your client. This week we've just announced an integration with our core, with a stable commerce, that is something that is brand new in the market. It started making lots of noise internationally, and we inserted that in our solution. Then we move on. This is an example that we have picks and new products that come along the way. So this is what we believe, that we enable, we offer that to the client, and then the clients can use if it makes sense for them, and they can use as they see fit. And then we promote innovation that it's 100% compliant and regulated and delivering differences. Well, I would stay hours talking to you, but our time is up. So I would like to thank you for your participation. I think we took a great step forward.